In today's video, I wanted to talk to you about the three main reasons why lead generation SMMA owners are failing and not getting their clients any results, and how to actually fix that and implement these systems into your own lead generation agency. So the first reason why is because of they don't use niches or niching. Now that is the process of picking one particular business or industry, such as a cleaner, a carpenter, an electrician, anything like that, where the client and the customer is in a particular sector of work. And by not doing this, you not only get to not understand one particular niche well, you don't understand what it is that they want and what it is that they are searching for. Plus, when you're doing the cold calls with them, it can really help to know about their industry and what you're talking about. That can lead to them becoming a potential client, or you booking a call with them and just talking a bit more about what it is that you do and what you want to provide them with. So that is another really important reason why you should pick a niche. Now, like I said, picking a niche gives you a huge advantage, because you get to understand a particular niche, and when producing your services for them, you get to understand that their client, what clients they're after, how they work, how it works, their systems, everything like that. You get to understand. If you cold call 10 different companies and they were all 10 different niches, it'd be very hard to understand the takeaway from those cold calls and what they actually want and require from your services and just from people and business providers generally. So picking a niche is really important, and is a very key and vital thing when it comes to actually providing services, but also the before stage, which is the cold calling and the talking to them and the appointment setting. Everything that comes into it, you need to understand the niche well to be able to provide your services in a efficient and sustainable and a good way that they're going to be happy and want to be retained, and they will stay with you for a long time, which is the main aim. By, like I said, not picking a niche, the client may think your service was okay, you understood it a little bit, but it wasn't excellent. You didn't understand the whole client acquisition process easily, and you didn't put the systems in place to actually get the clients well, because you didn't understand how it all worked in that particular niche. That can lead to you losing those clients and not having great client retention throughout the whole process of cold calling them, getting them on another call, onboarding the client, producing the services, whether it's ads or any other type of technique, and then eventually delivering the services and hopefully getting them more leads and more clients to go with their business, generating them more income, which is the main aim of a lead generation agency. So that is another really important point to bear in mind. Knowing a niche, you're going to retain your clients longer as you understand what it is and how it works, and the whole process of gaining them clients, and making them want to work with you because you are more developed in that sort of area, rather than just being a generalist and knowing a little bit about all sorts of businesses rather than specific amount to that one type of business. So they're going to be attracted to the people that more specialise in that sort of thing, rather than just them knowing a little bit about every single type of business, like an electrician and a plumber, carpenter, etc. So knowing a particular niche well will help you retain clients more as you know more about it, and they'll be more impressed with your service and want to keep on working with you throughout the time that you are producing the services for them. So picking a niche is super important, and that is one of the main reasons why agency business owners are actually failing and not producing results for their clients. It's often something that's massively overlooked, but it needs to be in the back of the service provider's mind, that it is actually the main idea is to know what you're doing and know what you're doing well, to be able to provide the services for the actual business. Now, if that means you have to do a bit of background research on them or anything like that, and that's what's necessary, then by all means go and do that. Know about the niche. On those cold calls, you see them experienced, they're more likely to book a onboarding call or just a discovery call with them to talk a little bit more about what you're doing and understand their business niche a bit more, like I said. So picking a niche is super important, and is one of the main reasons why lead generation agency owners are failing and not producing their clients' results. Now, the next one is kind of links into this. It's poor systems and onboarding systems. Now, if this all seems clunky and not very well thought out, then this can be a huge issue, as your client doesn't seem and think that you have great systems in place. The first impression they get is you onboarding them as a client, whether that be log into their Facebook, their Instagram, a Meta Business Suite, which both of them joined on the back to another sort of software. If that's not all seamless and it doesn't look like you know what you're doing, then they're more likely to, if you make a mistake during the service providing or whatever it is that you're doing for them, they're more likely to think, well, the onboarding was clunky, the service providing was clunky, is this really a great company and should we continue to work with them? But if you just made a mistake on service delivery, or a little trip up somewhere along the line of the process, then they're more likely to forgive you if their onboarding was smooth, everything so far has been efficient. They could just think, well, it's a little bump in the road rather than the whole company does not work well, it's not seamless, it's not smooth. So not having good onboarding systems and systems to get their clients also onboarded, if that's something that needs to be required by your services, that can be another huge issue and another main reason why lead generation agency owners are failing and not being able to produce their clients' results. Now, the third reason is because of a poor offer or not interesting enough offer. You can have the best offer in the world, but when you're doing your cold calls, your emails, your Instagram DMs, if you don't outline that in a clear and precise way, they're not going to be interested. If you bury it in a bunch of text, they're not going to be interested. What you need to do is make sure that your offer is clear and it's not, super wordy with all these terms and conditions, all these intricate details that are included, because that will just confuse the customer or potential client and they will not want to buy from you or even have a free trial, as good as that may seem over the phone. You're cold calling and you think, oh, this free trial, how could anyone turn it down? But if you are clunky and you mix in with so many words that the potential client can't understand what you're saying and can't get the main message of the call, that will be a huge issue, and you will find that if you do start to cold call, you won't get anyone interested, or they'll just put the phone down on you. So that is another, important thing to bear in mind. You do need to have a good offer, but you can have the best offer in the world, but if you don't put it to use in the right way during your cold outreach, it won't be any good, as people just will not want to entertain it or even think about working with you, even if it's a free trial, even if it's a 30-day free trial, if it's a commission-based offer, whatever it may be, they will not want to work with you. If it's mixed in with so many words they can't understand, you put too many terms and conditions in, you try to overthink it and talk too much on the phone that you annoy them and they just end up hanging up. So please bear that in mind. And that is the three main ways and three reasons why lead generation agency owners are actually failing and not being able to produce their current clients' results, and that often 9 times out of 10 will lead to not having retained clients, so you'll just end up losing the clients due to a lack of these three reasons. Now, how to actually improve these and get a good system in place is going to be what I'm going to talk about next. So the first reason was picking a niche. Now, like I mentioned, having a niche is very, very important, but you need to research it, you need to understand it well, you need to know what you're talking about when you're on the cold calls, when you're doing your cold outreach. Just generally, you need to understand the niche well and have a good understanding. So if you do onboard them as a client or get to talk to them a bit more on a discovery call, you can talk to them about more specific things and they think, wow, this person does actually know what they're talking about. They understand the client acquisition process, they understand how to talk to our particular market, they get how to deliver the service well and in a way that we think is appropriate for the business type. Because it's not just about do they see it like you can work well. It's about the clients who are actually doing the SMMA for, is their clients, Are you onboarding them well if that's what's required? Can you talk to their particular niche and their client base well in a way that they would do, and in a way that's professional but also accurate to the business type? That is something to bear in mind. And then having the process to onboard them well is really, really important. By having the process to onboard them well, like I said, everything becomes smooth, everything becomes seamless. So what I'd recommend is run through the whole process, the whole cold call, onboarding, and then service delivery by yourself. Just imagine you are a potential client. Get yourself logged on to whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's a Meta Business Suite, Facebook, Instagram, anything of that nature. Go through the whole process first so you know it works, it's seamless, it's smooth, and if there's any cracks or places where it's not quite as good as it could be, then please make sure that you are improving that and making that as smooth and seamless as possible. And then make sure your offer is put together well. First of all, you need to have a good offer. Once you've got a good offer and an enticing offer, then make sure it's not covered up with loads of terms and conditions and words that just make it seem like a jumble and people don't know what they're getting by cold calling you or by you cold calling them. They don't know what the outcome of the call is, so make sure the outcome of the call is really, really clear and people know what it is that you're offering, how you do it, and how it works. And they are kind of the three main things to consider when building the offer and when making an offer that actually works for the company. That is the video wrapped up. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to take it one step at a time, and I'll see you in the next one.